if you wouldn't mind saying something at the same time, please.
Good evening again.
I think we're ready to go.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, folks, for bearing with us. So once again, we'll start with an introduction of who we are, and we'll talk about what we're doing with your students this year, course selection, College and Career Center events, and the resources that they provide, as well as the college advising services for junior year, and ending with a Q&A. So here is our counseling team. So there are 7 of us. You can see us all pictured here. Counselors, once again, they're assigned based off of your student's last name. Ryan Carter, Jenny Dumas, Jacob Loreen, Deanna Mastellali, myself, Janice Parker, Ariel Rojas, and Tamisha Wise are our counselors, and our counseling secretary is Maite Vallado. And our wonderful College and Career Center staff is Ms. Angela Price, who's here with us tonight, who's our college counselor, and Sarah Wallace, who is filling in for Ms. Duran this semester as the College and Career Center coordinator. So starting with the school counseling overview. So just as a recap of what we did with their students last year when they were sophomores, we, in the winter and spring of last year, met with all sophomores in small group workshops. We also started off the school year in the fall with classroom lesson workshops. And we had individual appointments focused on the personal narrative activity. You can ask your students about that just to jog their memory. We did a little bit of career exploration, went over the graduation status and reviewed their transcripts with them in Aries, and went over a review of the A to G subject requirements. Those, again, are college entrance requirements for the UC and CSU systems. And we talked about their course selection for this current school year. So what's coming this year? In the first semester, right now, in this very moment, we're doing junior parent night. And we all have also had College and Career Center workshops and events. A lot of them have been the college rep visits that we've encouraged your juniors to attend. There are also workshops during ACT if they're able to sign up to attend. And we also have student office hours held during brunch, lunch, and during ACT. And coming up this next coming semester in the spring, we'll be going over the course selection process via school-wide workshops. We'll be doing the junior interview, which we'll talk about in just a sec. There will be the ability for them to sign up for individual college advising appointments, more information to come tonight. There's also going to continue to be College and Career Center workshops and events, and as always, drop-ins available during brunch, lunch, and ACT. So this is what the junior interviews are about. So it sounds very formal, but really it's just a chance for us to deepen the relationships that we have with your students. So we'll be talking about building skills for the future, including the college application process. It allows for a more personalized and effective advising, which can support us when it comes to advising them on their college application processes, as well as when it comes to writing letters of recommendation for college entrance for those colleges that do require a counselor letter of recommendation. We'll also be reviewing their graduation and A to G progress. And we'll also be connecting them with the College and Career Center, or in some cases, if they've already been there, reintroducing them to Miss Price and Miss Wallace. We really enjoy at the end of our individual appointments walking them over. Unfortunately, we're no longer in the portables, so it's just down the hall, and they're able to see that space and get to know who will be there to support them in their junior and senior years. So for course selection, there is going to be more detailed information available in January, but in the meantime, we really encourage you to talk to your students and encourage them to speak to their current teachers about their options for the courses for next year. And then when the time comes for drop-in appointments, they can come, we encourage them to come and speak with us about their course selection, questions that they may have. And then every student created a 4-year plan in 9th grade. So we encourage them to review that, update it. And there's a plethora of information available on our website. So there's the course selection sheets that'll be on our website, the course catalog, there are videos, and then other resources that will support them in making their decisions. And when it comes to specific dates and deadlines, once again, that'll be announced in January, and more information about the process will be coming. Here on the screen is an example of a graduation status report for an 11th grader. Students have access to view this in Aries, as do you. It'll look a little bit differently in terms of format, but the information is the same. So typically you will see at this point in a junior year, a student should have about 15 credits needed for English. That means that they still have one more semester this year to complete, plus next year, their senior year. There may be some students out there that still need to complete health. And so that's something else that could be considered when it comes to course selection. If they're able to add it into their spring semester for junior year, they can talk to their counselor about that. But something to know is that if a student has not completed health by the end of their junior year summer, we do put that into their schedule for senior year because we want to make sure that they graduate and that health is not the reason that they don't meet those eligibility requirements. So in addition to the classes that are available on our campus, there are a variety of programs available to our students. So when it comes to course selection process, we just want to bring that to your attention. So additional educational opportunities within our district include 2 programs that are physically located at Foothill College, one being Middle College and the other being College Now. Similar in nature, however, one big difference is that students would be completing 2 high school level courses at Middle College, and those would be their history and English classes. And the rest of their courses and requirements are met through college classes at Foothill. College Now is for our more self-driven, self-motivated students who don't need quite as much direction and who are interested in earning additional college credits while they're meeting their graduation requirements. So you can use your phones right now and scan the QR codes. However, if you aren't able to do that right now, this slide deck as well as this recording will be available on our website soon. The remaining 2 educational opportunities in our district are Freestyle Academy, which is great for our students who are interested in the arts and technology. We have just amazing programs available. So students who might find themselves interested in film, animation, or digital media can seek out Freestyle as an option. It's located at Mountain View High School. They would split their day between the Freestyle Academy campus and Los Altos High School campus. They take 3 classes at Freestyle and the remainder of their schedule at Los Altos High School. Alta Vista High School is a great option for students who might want to have a more intimate high school setting. They're able to accelerate in their credits. So if a student might be a little bit behind on their credits, Alta Vista is a great option to consider. And they're also, depending on what grade they're currently in, are able to transfer back to Los Altos High School. If they want to know more information about that, and highly encourage them to talk to their school counselor. And then it's also important to know that Alta Vista does offer college preparatory classes. So college entrance is still definitely a possibility if a student goes to Alta Vista. And then to stay in touch with us, there's a variety of ways. So want to once again plug our website. All the presentations, whether they be webinar recordings or slide decks, are on our website. The calendar, you can subscribe to it if you have Google Calendar. There's also information about course selection and a variety of other resources. Every week, the Eagle News is sent out via Parent Square, and there's a counseling section on there, which also has a link to our school counseling calendar, as well as just upcoming events and things to know about. And last but not least, if you have any specific questions regarding your student, you can reach out to their counselor, and our contact information is available on the website. And then this last slide for me before I turn it over to Mr. Rojas is about the additional resources. These will be active links if you want to access our slide deck on the website after tonight. Mental health is available on our campus. We do have school-based therapy services, and there's a referral form if you have any concern about your student. There's also a list of community resources. There's our tutorial center, which offers tutoring in a variety of subjects on our campus for free. And if you want to take a look at the subject areas available, as well as the schedule that's on our website. Academic collaboration time is an opportunity for students to get caught up on their work, to touch base with their teachers, to get additional support. And we do have a mentor tutor connection program on our website and on our site. So if you have a student who might need some additional support from another trusted adult outside of their school counselor, outside of you, their parent or guardian, I implore you to take a look at the mentor tutor connection. And now I'm going to kick it off to Mr. Rojas, who's going to talk about the College and Career Center resources.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the College and Career Center. And as you saw on the slide before, there is a QR code. You can find all the information about the College and Career Center if you take a picture of that QR code. So what happens at the College and Career Center, especially in the junior year, is super important. Students should already have been a little bit familiar with the College and Career Center as we talk to them in 9th and 10th grade, and we visit the College and Career Center so students can be comfortable about the center. We do have resources online and in person, resources like Naviance, college admission visits that you can find through Naviance, scholarship information, volunteer internships, MVLA college counseling handbook, which you can find also in the College and Career Center. We do also have the YouTube channel and Instagram. We also have ACT workshops of different. You can see the list of the workshops here on the web on the slide. And things like college essays and UC and CSU applications and all that stuff. So it is a very important place where students can find a lot of different information. Next slide, please. So the College and Career Center is available to support your students. You can have your students visit us during brunch, lunch, open periods, and by appointments as well. You can reserve a seat and teach more for app for the ACT workshops and use Naviance and the LHS College and Career Center website for college and career exploration and research. Next page, please. So we do have a very good tool in the College and Career Center. It's called the College Counseling Handbook. You can find that online, or you can also get a copy of it at the College and Career Center, where you can find different types of colleges and universities. And also you can find the timeline for students. So this book, it gives you all of the explanation that you need in regards to how the college and career process goes, how the application process goes, and what you need to do to stay up to par with the college application process. Next, please. The College and Career Center events you can find in at the Los Altos website. You can find all the events, and by clicking, like it gives you all the events by calendar. So, like for example, Tuesday, October 1st, we had a couple of colleges, and if you want to know more information about those particular colleges, you can click on their link, and it'll give you more information. And students can attend those sessions and those visits by signing up through Naviance and then getting a little slip where they can take it to their teachers, and the teacher will give them permission to come during class if they have a class during the time that they selected to come in and attend the presentations. Next, please. So the communication that we have, it's very vast. So we have a bulletin in school announcements, and we also have the websites through the Los Altos High School website, and then through the College and Career link. We also send information via email. If you follow us in Instagram, also we have information there, and then we have countdown to college events in the spring. So Naviance is a platform that we use for students to do their beginning of their college research. We want students to be involved in Naviance, not at the level of 11th grade, but even before that, where they can start working on their research for colleges. They can organize their college list and application deadlines. You can start identifying and researching careers and majors, building and updating resumes, and register to attend the college representative list. So all of that you can find through Naviance. Naviance is super important, and this year students should be working on Naviance already. I think it's a good time for you to advise your students to look at it, to make sure that they're starting their list, because once they start their application process, Naviance becomes a part of the application process as we submit letters of recommendations and other documents through colleges via Naviance to the private colleges. And so we want to make sure the students are very familiar with Naviance as we use it for different things during the next year and a half. And so make sure that the students are using it. And you can find Naviance if you go to the Los Altos High School website. You can find it in the bottom where there's little tabs, and it'll say Naviance Family Connection, and students can log in with their Google ID. So for the college application process, we have personal academic information, and also we want to make sure that students are looking into their extracurricular and volunteer activities. I think this is a very important part of the application process, where students are thinking about all of the stuff that they're doing, and if they're still needing to get connected or get involved a little more, this is the time for them to start doing that. They can check in the LHS website for clubs and activities under student activities, and then they can view the wiki bulletin for jobs and volunteer opportunities. Make sure that students are exploring areas of interest, gaining experience in base learning. It is really important. As I go to colleges and visit many universities and talking to representatives and talking to people in admissions, this is a very important part of the application process. The universities want to know what students are doing outside the school. Not only the academic information is important, but that's something that they can see on a transcript. But they want to make sure the students are connected outside the school, and that they're using what they're learning in the classroom, and they're using it outside the classroom. They want to make sure the students are following their passion. They want to make sure the students are learning and actively seeking out opportunities to enhance their high school experience. Next, please. So as we are going into to the end of the fall semester and into the spring semester, I want to make sure the students are understanding what the process is to start preparing for that college application process. So we want to make sure the students are asking teachers for letters of recommendations, but I will wait kind of like maybe like the second part of the spring semester to start asking their teachers, making sure that before the end of the junior year, they have at least 2 teachers who are going to be writing the letters of recommendations. We as counselors, we provide one, and there is a process for that we'll be talking to the students later on. But for teachers, the students will need to choose 2 teachers from the core academic classes, and making sure that the teacher knows them. And a lot of times, if you find teachers that go along with the career goals that you have in subjects that you might be interested, will be best. Then students should be also working on essays through the spring semester. It's actually a very good idea for students to spread out the work, making sure that one of the most difficult tasks for students when they're doing their college applications, it's writing their essays and thinking about what they're doing and stuff like that. Make sure the students have enough time to start writing, to start putting down the stories that they want to talk to colleges about. Remember, this is the way that colleges know students, that they can understand what they come from, what they do. And a lot of times when I ask my students, what have you done? And they really, sometimes they say not really anything, because a lot of things that they do, they don't consider to be as important. But let me tell you, colleges do consider important a lot of the stuff that students do. Teaching, seeking out opportunities that might not be something that students think that is important, but starting writing down all that information is really, really important. Even if they're helping family members, if they're babysitting for family, and all that stuff, I think that it's an important thing for students to start writing down all of that and then putting it together as we go along. And then the students could participate in summer college advising through the boot camp that we offer at the school, and do ACT workshops focused on components of the process. Next, please. So the PSAT this year is going to be October 23rd. All juniors will be opting to the PSAT unless they choose the SAT. AP test registration will be on, the deadline is on November 1st by 11:59, and you can find that information at the Los Altos High School website. Remember, this is very important. There's no late registrations for this. So make sure that your student is, if they're going to take the AP test, make sure that they are signing before that deadline. If you have any questions, you can contact Christina Saban, who is our coordinator for testing at Los Altos High School. So college testing, the current landscape, it's there's so many different things going on around the country, and different schools are doing different things. But we know that the UC and the CSU and other private schools are opting out of the test, so they're test free. They don't require tests. There's test optional and test flexible schools that include public and private schools, and there are schools that are requiring tests still. So make sure that your student, that's why it's important that students are starting to like look into schools that might be on their list, to start looking at what the requirements are for those schools. Student self-reflection and family discussion about testing and college lists, it's important. And looking at PSAT scores and testing preferences is also really important. You can also talk to your counselor about, any questions that you might have. LHS academic courses are SAT and ACT prep. Use available data also for the PSAT 10, the PSAT 11, and other standardized tests. So if testing, you pick a date and register early. Take the official exam by 11th grade. I think it's really important for you to do that by the 11th grade. And then also you can retest if you like by the end of the summer, or like late summer, fall. So there is financial aid differences. So the FAFSA is a free application for federal student aid, and the CADAA is the California Dream Act application. The CSS profile, that's mostly private schools require this for institutional aid, and other types of financial aid is their loans, grants, and scholarships. Next, please. So for FAFSA or the DREAM Act application, so if you are a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen, you can complete the FAFSA form. If you don't have a Social Security number, or you have a DACA Social Security and TPS status, or U visa with an AB 540 status, then you can fill out the California DREAM Act application. Okay, so, and that was the end for my part. And now for the college counseling, I will call in Miss Angela Price.
Hi, good afternoon. Glad to be with all of you tonight. I have just lost my video, but I'm hoping you can hear my voice. Cannot start my video.
We can hear you great, Angela.
Perfect. Okay. But I can't see. Let's see if I can see the presentation. It's disappeared. Okay. I'm trying to get to the full screen. I am so sorry. It's still showing just my information. Okay, so I am the college advisor at Los Altos High School, and what our main goal in the Career Center and my role is to make sure that I empower students with accurate information to navigate the college process. We try to make sure that our students understand what is expected of them, and also to show their best selves in their college application. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to the college presentation, which I cannot see. I'm so sorry.
Ms. Price, do you want me to stop in and help you with the CSU
Yes.
application?
Yes, I can, because I can't get the full screen at all.
Yep. No-
to the presentation. It disappeared.
Not a problem. Then that way you have a little bit of time to catch up with us. Uh,
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. So good evening, folks. My name is Fabian Morales. I'm one of the assistant principals here at Los Altos, and my job is to support the amazing counseling team and the College and Career Center team. So this evening, I'm going to help here with a little bit of the presentation, and then hopefully we get Miss Price back on here. So things to think about in the
I
spring
can see it,
semester.
Fabian.
Say that
Fabian,
one-
I have it.
You got it? Okay,
I
perfect.
have it. I can see the full screen now. So I'm
All right.
going to keep my video off, and I'll just go with the screen of the with the presentation. I'm showing the spring semester. Miss Parker, will you be able to? College advising spring semester topics to be covered in the college advising appointments. So every student junior in the spring semester beginning in February will be able to make an appointment to meet with me. The topics covered in the appointments I'll meet with students will be, we go over the Naviance again to make sure they understand what that system can provide for them throughout the college process. I'll look at the transcript, make sure that they understand their academic profile from just the class they've taken in their 9th through junior year. I work with them in creating a college list based on the academic fit and social fit and financial fit. Parents are welcome to come to these meetings, by the way. I work with students, but also parents. I know it's a family decision and family support is needed in the college process. So I welcome parents in the meetings. I ask the students to invite the parents. I can't invite you, but your student is welcome to include you and sign you up to come in and meet with them during this process. I go over the college admissions test with them, make sure they understand test optional and test blind, merit aid if students looking for colleges that they need to have a little bit of financial aid, past need-based aid. We go over timelines. And I work one-on-one with students with their essays as well as in group essay workshops to make sure that students are showing their best selves. Letters of recommendations. I don't write letters of recommendations, but I make sure students provide information to their teachers and their counselors that will make sure their letters of recommendation are reflective of them. We go over things that they should talk about and things they should list in their counselor packets to make sure they leave nothing out as counselors and teachers can make a solid recommendation on their behalf to the colleges they're applying to. I also talk about financial aid, the FAFSA and the CSS profile and scholarships. So the meetings are holistic in the sense that we cover a lot in those meetings, but what I want parents to understand is that it's just the beginning and your students will continue to talk to me throughout the semester. I'm fortunate that I get to meet some of your kids in 9th and 10th grade because the counselors have brought them down to the College and Career Center. So I've already had an introduction to most of the children before they become juniors anyways. And also they come into the College Center all the time to have lunch, to be a part of presentation. So if your child is not doing that and they would like to do that, make sure you encourage them to come to the College Center. They are welcome to come there way before they become a junior and before an appointment with me. And I always come out of my office and they always can ask me a question. So you're welcome. Your children are welcome to come in. And I don't want students to be stressed about this process. I want them to know that they can manage this process, empower them with that ability that they know that they have, have something to offer in that college application in terms of a holistic student. So I don't want the fear to be there or the anxiety to be there because they will get through this. They always get through it. We help them get through it, and that's our role. Next slide, please. College opportunities. So many in California and across the country. I mean, 113 community colleges, California State University 23. All the campuses are there to provide a solid education for our students. University of California, there's 9 campuses. And private colleges, there are thousands of private colleges around this country. Over 4,000 colleges and universities across the United States. There are so many opportunities. Our students are only limited by the fact that they will not look at certain colleges. But if they're open to look at colleges, this is a country of plenty. And our students have a lot in California. They want to stay at home to take advantage of what we have here as well. So the California State Universities up and down the coast, as you can see, they all have their different flavor. There's colleges that are in the middle of the state, Sacramento, Stanislaus, Fresno, and there's all the colleges along the bay, close to the water, like Sonoma way up north, San Diego way south, and anything in between San Luis Obispo and Monterey. there's one application for all the CSU campuses. 2.50 is the baseline GPA on 10th and 11th grades only. The weighted GPA counts. And coursework is based on A through G. You heard the counselors talk about that earlier. All of our kids are set to follow A through G. And test-free. Tests are not used in the admissions process for the Cal States. And it's October 1 through 11/30 in terms of the deadlines. And the next slide, please. You see 9 campuses, all up and down the state of California, as you can see. One application for all campuses. The application opens up August 1. There are 4 essays that are required by the UCs, and they're called the personal insight questions. And we work a lot with our students on those, beginning in the summer, actually. If they would like to get started earlier, we do that with them as well. The freshman guidelines is 3.0 minimum GPA weighted. And I always tell our students, if you have a 3.0, I want you to consider applying to the UCs, not to rule themselves out. Coursework is the A through G coursework. It is test-free as well. The UCs do not consider SATs. You cannot send an ACT or SAT to the UCs. And it's based on A through G coursework, 10th and 11th. The timeline is, it opens up August 1 to start on the application, but you can submit your first app for the UCs beginning October 1. October 1 through 11/30 is when you can submit your UC application if they're completed. Private colleges all across the board, 900 schools. Students can create an account on the Common Application, which is what most of the private schools use. The criteria is they look at the unweighted GPA, letters of recommendation, counselors and teachers. There are supplemental essays, and the SAT and ACT are determined by individual colleges. So we will be working with your student to determine which colleges will require those tests that they will submit. And the MVLA supports the college process, and we're fortunate to be able, to support our students through College Advisor and the College Career Center. So I think that's my last slide, but we just want to say, I want to say thank you, and do not let your children be a stranger to the College Career Center. And if you have questions, you certainly can, send me an email or have your students stop by and introduce themselves and say hi and ask their question.
All right, so at this time, we're going to talk to you all about the questions that are in the Q&A. You can still keep those coming. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them into the Q&A. And while you're doing that, I just want to, one more time, talk a little bit about just like really plugging the College and Career Center. I know that there's a whole lot that can be happening when it comes to the college entrance process. Students can feel a little overwhelmed with that process. You as parents and guardians might also feel overwhelmed, whether your child is a first-generation college student or it's been a while since you applied to college or just uncertain about the current climate. The students here at Los Altos High School are incredibly fortunate because we have so many people here who want to help your students. So there are a lot of opportunities. We talked about the boot camp. There are usually ACT workshops in the spring semester junior year when students can get started about drafting their Common App essays, their personal insight questions. So really encourage your students to plug into those different things that are happening, checking the announcements, checking that weekly bulletin that was also put into the Q&A. There's just a plethora of information out there, and students can feel free to tap into that. So going into the Q&A, there are a couple of questions here that I think Ms. Price might be prepped and ready to answer. So the first one is, does forensics count as a core class? And could a student ask their forensics teacher for a letter of recommendation for college entrance?
Students can ask any teacher that have taught them for a letter of recommendation. Any teacher. Colleges want to know your student, and your student has a teacher that knows them best. That's the teacher they want to write the recommendation. So sure, they can. And then when you say core class, private colleges look at A through G the same as we do in California. They consider a strong curriculum. And so any class that they take that fulfills a requirement here through A through G, private colleges around the country will feel the same way, and they will accept recommendations from those teachers.
And just so you know, forensics is also part of the D requirement for the A through G list. So it is an interdisciplinary science. So just want to make sure that people understand that. Can I, before we go to the next question, can I just make a little announcement? Just this is for the Latino parents that might be on listening right now. In regards to Miss Ernie, we want to make sure that your students are meeting her and coming to visit Miss Ernie, who is the liaison, the liaison at our school. She's available during lunch, and now her office is next to the library, and she's always welcoming. And students should come and see her, like if they have any questions or any concerns or anything like that. She's a great resource in the school to help parents connect with students and students with parents and us as well. So just make sure you are using that extra help that we have at the school.
Thank you, Mr. Rojas. We have a couple of questions about FAFSA. And whether or not it includes scholarship-related criteria. Are there any academic criteria apart from financials involved with the FAFSA?
No, FAFSA just requires that the student fills it out with personal information and their parents' financial information. FAFSA is a federal application. It doesn't award financial aid. It assesses the family's ability to pay for the student's college education. So FAFSA is just a tool that is used by colleges to determine how much financial aid a student will get. So FAFSA is basically a fact application of information about the student's family size, income, and that information is put sit into the federal FAFSA application process. And what that does, FAFSA spits out information saying that your family can afford XY dollars for college, or your family cannot afford any money for college. You'll get a 0 to anywhere from your parents can pay 0 towards education to your parents can pay full need for the education. So it is an assessment tool. It does not award financial aid.
Thank you. And then just to reiterate, the FAFSA is something that will be filled out in the fall semester of a student's senior year. And we do host a variety of, or a number of Cash for College events, workshops for students and families to be able to complete the FAFSA or the California Dream Act here on campus. We have a question. Do students need to request recommendation letters from junior year teachers only?
Colleges.
I can answer that.
Okay.
Yes. So the colleges want students to use their junior year teachers as the recommenders. However, there's going to be those times when a student might not be able to find one. And so talk to your counselor, make sure that we're looking at the right set for your student. But sometimes, students might have had a teacher in the 10th grade, and then they have it also in the 12th grade. And so that might be okay. What the colleges are looking for is that the student has a teacher that knows them well, that can talk about a full year that they spend with them in the classroom. They want to know the abilities and how the student is in the classroom. So, for example, as a 12-year senior year teacher might not work because it's only been with the student for a few months. But if you already had the teacher another year, that might work because we're looking at historical data that teachers can talk about the student's process in the classroom and how the student did with them in a particular subject area.
Awesome, thank you. And if there's extenuating circumstances or students are worried about the letters of rec, they need some advice, they're always welcome to come and talk to their school counselor.
Absolutely.
When should students start applying for scholarships? I say the earlier the better. So I say even our freshman students, there are scholarships out there for things that you wouldn't even believe. So yesterday is the answer.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And in the answered questions, you can find a link to our College and Career Center bulletin. And that is like a pot of gold, literally. There are all sorts of activities and opportunities available to students. And as they come to us as counselors and college counselors and College Career Center coordinators, we share that information with our students in the form of the College and Career Center bulletin. There are opportunities. We've had students who got full ride scholarships from looking at that bulletin. So that would be a thing to check out.
Absolutely. So there's another question about transcripts and how do you read them in areas. So if you go to your portal where the transcript is, you can see the transcript. And so what ACAD means is that it's the academic part of it, and the total GPA is everything that the student has taken, including PE and classes that might not be A through G. The academic is all of the academic classes that the student has taken. So, for example, in terms of college, when we're looking at college, we want to look at the academic GPA. That's what colleges will be looking at, not the total. But for other things, the total might be okay. But in terms of college, the academic GPA will be the GPA that you're going to be looking at. There's no requirement for volunteer hours. Okay, so we don't require volunteer hours for our school. But there might be some classes like health that might require some volunteer hours, some organizations like the National Honor Society that might require volunteer hours. But as a school, we do not require volunteer hours. And actually, colleges do not require volunteer hours. Most colleges don't require that. They want to see the students have the experience, that they have done different things, that they have participated in volunteering, that they have participated in the community. But they're not, most of them don't require a certain amount of hours.
No, they don't. No college does.
Yeah.
Nope.
But we do highly recommend it. It's a great way for students
Yes.
to give back to their community, learn more about themselves, builds experience. And there may be some colleges that are service oriented, so
Yes.
it might align more with like a Tulane or Jesuit colleges. That might be something that is nice, but not necessarily required, as Mr. Rojas and Ms. Price mentioned. There's a question about the CCC newsletter. So it's not necessarily a newsletter, it's a bulletin, and it is linked. Let's see. If you go into the answered questions, you should be able to find a link to both the College and Career Center calendar as well as the bulletin. It's also available. So if you go to the College and Career Center's website, it's in the middle of the page there. You don't necessarily have to subscribe to it because it is a Google Doc, but you can favorite it, bookmark it. And then there are announcements when it comes to the College and Career Center in Eagle News. So you can subscribe and turn on your notifications for ParentSquare. That is the best way to keep in contact or be informed when it comes to Los Altos High School, not only with happenings and events, but also in case of emergency, being able to keep track of what's going on.
Yeah, so there is no ranking in our schools. We do not rank students. So so as a district, we do not rank students. And then in terms of academic GPAs, it depends on the schools that you're applying to. So just as a ballpark, like we send transcripts to the private schools. So they're going to be looking at both. They're going to be looking at the weighted and the non-weighted. Normally, the public schools like the UC, they will be looking at the weighted 10th and 11th grade. They only base that for their criteria for admissions. But it's, if they have any more questions about that, they can talk to us and we can explain a little more about that.
There's a question about if the SAT is offered to seniors. Yes, seniors did have the option to be able to take the SAT offered at Los Altos High School, but they would have had to have opted into that and the deadline has passed. If students want to still take the SAT in their senior year, then I'm assuming this is for a current junior. So yes, they have the option next fall to opt into that as long as they do it by the deadline. For current seniors, they'll want to look into SAT options elsewhere, but they should talk to their counselor and perhaps Ms. Price or Ms. Wallace to see if it makes sense based off of where we are in the application timeline.
So in terms of the, go ahead.
Go ahead, sorry.
In terms of the application, the letters of recommendation question, so if the student finds a teacher that is teaching in the areas where the student is pursuing a career in, that's great. That's great, but it's not necessary. It's not. It has to be a teacher that knows you and can talk to you about how you are a student in that particular class. So the best letters of recommendations come from teachers that knows your student well. that can talk about your students' performance and that can verify how the student does in the classroom. So that's how you should look at it. Ms. Price, do you have any feedback on the Native American tuition pay for UC question?
Well, and so if a student is designated as a Native American and that information, they will log into the UC application. We haven't had any students, so far that have been identified as Native American. So if you do have a student that is, you might want to have them come to my office, and what I'll do is just give a call to the UCs and find out if there's a special procedure. But I do know in the application they can designate that, and the financial aid aspect comes out, much later than the admissions process. So if there's a student out there that is, Native American, please stop by my office, or you have your student stop by, and I will make some phone calls and find out what that process looks like. But I do know they apply like everybody else, and certainly there is support and financial aid for all of our students, not only Native American students in the UC. So I do know that there will be some pathway, but I will have to have the student in front of me, and I'll give a phone call and just find out what that pathway will be.
Thank you. So just a clarifying answer for more question about the GPA. So is the academic GPA the weighted or unweighted one? So complicated answer, it's both. So there are a total of 6 GPAs on our high school transcripts. There's the academic weighted, there's academic unweighted, there's the academic total, and academic, total unweighted, total unweighted. So basically, the answer is both. So if you would like to see it more clearly, you can ask your student to ask for a printout or a PDF of your student's transcript. Usually that makes it a little easier to see versus what you see in the Aries. And yeah, so that would be the answer. There's both an academic weighted GPA and an academic unweighted GPA. And one question about financial aid. What financial aid information is used by FAFSA to determine a family's ability to pay? Is it just gross income, or is it assets as well? I'll let Ms. Price or Mr. Rojas answer this one, but I also want to plug, there's a website, fafsa.ed.gov, that has a great amount of information, and you can get a heads up on what sort of information will be required when it comes to completing the FAFSA next fall.
Yeah, FAFSA is very basic. It's very simple application, and they're just looking at income earned, basically. They're not looking for property and things like that. But if your student is applying to a private selected college and they're required to put in a CSS profile, those colleges will be looking for assets. But the federal FAFSA does not look for that. It's a baseline income that they're looking for, and that's it. They'll spit out that number. If you make 80,000 or you make 200,000, and they will tell you, what your expected family income is. But if you're applying to select a private school, they will require the CSS profile. That particular application is going to consider assets.
Yep. So on the follow-up question about teachers who will retire after this year. So normally if the teacher retires, that means the teacher is not longer in the district with us. So normally we wouldn't ask that teacher for a letter of recommendation now. There are some exceptions. The student can talk to the teacher and see what they think, but the teacher is not, they're not required to write letters of recommendations once they are not working any longer with our district. So that will be a one-on-one question with the student and the teacher, and see how that works out. But that's definitely on the teachers. The teacher will have to agree to that on their own, but it's not required it's not a requirement for the teachers to do any letters of recommendations once they're not working with us.
Okay, so we've got a couple questions coming in and we have a few minutes left. One was just asking about having a letter of rec from a performing arts teacher. I think generally the preference might be for core classes unless the student is applying for a visual performing arts major or college. There's a question about application fees for UC. There is a fee per UC that they're submitting. And fee waivers are available for students who qualify based off of income of family. And And then does the school transcript include courses taken outside of the school district and sent to colleges? So that depends. So if a student had their out of district courses pre-approved and they submitted their out of district transcript to our Los Altos High School registrar to be included in our Los Altos High School transcript, then yes, it would be included. So that's something to verify with your student/school counselor. Anything else from the team that we're seeing?
Just to follow up
unanswered?
on that, just remember, even if the student does not request a permission from our school to take a class, and they took the class at the community college, for example, the student needs to they have to submit that class in another way to the colleges. They have to disclose all classes taken outside the school, even if they didn't get permission. It wouldn't be in our transcript, but they have to send the transcript directly to the colleges. So that is a really important thing for students to understand, is that anything you take at the community college, you have to, or taken outside while you're in high school, you have to let the schools know.
However,
are
when they
no-
apply to,
I'm
like when
sorry?
they apply to, I was just
Yes.
gonna say, when they apply to the University of California, they do not submit transcripts until after they've been admitted to the college, and they will submit those transcripts to the UC that they hope to attend or the Cal State they hope to attend. Those two schools will not require any transcripts in the college process. They will want it though when your child says yes to one of the UCs or CSU campuses, and then they will forward that transcript to the college.
Yes. And teachers write a lot of letters of recommendations. It depends on the teacher's availability. So they do try to help students with the letters of recommendations. However, there are two letters that are required for most schools, for most private schools, from teachers. Some other schools might take a third letter or even a fourth letter. But those letters usually could come from anything else, like a coach or a professional that they work with or something like that. But for the most part, it is two letters of recommendations from the core classes that need to be sent to the colleges, plus the counselor letter recommendation.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. If you could do us a favor, there is a one question survey that is going to pop up on your screen after ending this webinar. And it's just really asking you what sort of topics you are interested in having us cover for next year's senior parent and guardian webinar. So if you fill that out for us, we'd be very grateful. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great evening.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thank you.